Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. So today we have Ankit joining us. He has got admits from multiple universities, few of them being Rice, Penn State University, Notre Dame, and many others. Maybe Ankit can highlight, and most of them are fully funded by universities. So yeah, Ankit, can you just name these universities you have admit from?
Thank you, Anurag. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone whosoever is watching this video. Thank you, Anurag, for having this platform and let me share my views. What was my journey? I got an admit from Penn State, Michigan State, Olin, St. Louis Olin, then Notre Dame, then Rice. And I haven't still decided where to go considering all the like unprecedented circumstances of COVID-19. But yes, I can share my complete journey, how I started, how I ends up into the college with most of the, I mean, all of them with full ride, some of them will stipend as well.
So Ankit, before actually jumping onto your journey, can you just state the colleges and the different scholarships that you have received?
Yes, so let's start from the admit one. It was Penn State. There I got 100% scholarship with some stipend, monthly stipend, without doing any GATA. It's a stipend basically. Then I got the admission from Michigan State. There also I got 100% full ride. After that, I got from St. Louis, Washington University. There I got 85%. Then I got admission from Rice. There I have 100% full ride. Then I got admission from Notre Dame. There I got like 97% scholarship.
Great. Yeah. So Ankit, how did you actually arrive to this kind of position? Like, what is this journey of getting to like admits from so many great universities in US?
Yes, so it depends from person to person. When I was started preparing for my GMATs, I read on GMAT Club, beat GMAT. Some of them saying that first focus on GMAT and TOEFL, and then apply for schools after you have your score and you make a list of the schools. But my strategy was completely opposite. What I did is I researched about the school because school generally hire based on the profile evaluation, right? So I'm a supply chain guy, so three good colleges in US known for supply chain. One is Penn State, Michigan State, and Arizona State. Penn State and Michigan State were a safe bet for me because I know that they generally give more scholarship as well as stipend. So I applied to both of them and I landed into both of them. Initially, I only had a score of 690 in GMAT.
Okay.
I was doing parallelly. I was like preparing for GMAT to improve my GMAT score in parallel to what I was applying to the school. And I am notified to all of the school that I am already in a process of improvement of my GMAT score. But in the meantime, I have applied I have submitted my application and please review that. The more important thing that I felt is the early you apply, the chances of getting a scholarship and the chances of getting admit in a school is good. From my experience, I have felt that every admission. So there were three strategies that I have adopted in. One is I was doing parallel GMAT preparation. I had 619 hands, so I was sure that I can land into Michigan State and Penn State. But for Rice and Notre Dame, I need to have minimum of 700 to be competitive with them. I was preparing parallelly, and what I did is the first thing that I adopted is I attended various webinars from all these universities. And by attending these webinars, we generally get like application fee waiver. So it was a no loss for me. You just need to submit the form and then they start review it and they give you interview. And for interview, there are two important things which mattered. One is you need to discuss with the current students who are like the current student ambassadors. So those ambassadors usually help you pitch yourself. I mean, echo your voice to the admissions committee that there is a guy who is chasing me, who is asking a lot of questions. He's so interested to join this program. And the second thing that you need to do is before even you get the interview, you can have schedule and like a call with the admissions director that yes, I have read about the universities. I have a couple of queries that I want to ask you. And those things basically help me down. It is basically what I used is more of the networking part of yes, you have credential of GMAT, you have credential of your profile, But until you don't network it and you don't tell people that what actually you are and how you can add value to the classroom, they people don't, I mean, even care of you, you know. So you need to showcase what actually you are, and that don't happen over 15-minute discussion over interview. You need to have multiple discussion with different admissions team, so that there is a person in the admissions team who know your name and who is actually pitching your name when they are discussing about whom to admit. So that's an important parameter which I felt, and very important advice for all of us. Generally what happen is we just submit the form and then wait for interview. We see, okay, they will read our profile and all those things. But in my case it was quite opposite. Wherever I have applied, I got the admission with almost good scholarship, and that's what my take is. I mean, this is my suggestion.
Great. So, Ankit, just to summarize of what you stated, it's like networking helped you a lot in getting that kind of an offer across universities. And though GMAT does plays a role, but you're kind of catalyzing your progress with the networking part, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, you have absolutely corrected summarizing in a correct way, right?
Yeah, Ankit. So like you stated, though networking helped you immensely in this particular process, but GMAT also played some part. And like you stated, you earlier had a score of 690. What is your second time score?
It's 710.
Okay, so you kind of improved it by 20 points. So how do you went about it? So like any advice that you want to give to the future people?
Yeah, it's quite difficult. My journey was quite difficult, to be very frank. Like, suppose I give you an example. You can take your marks from 60 to 80 on a 100 marks paper, but from 80 to 90 you need to spend, like, you need to burn your midnight oil. What eventually went well is, I know that I have a 690, so my basics were right. What I did is I generated the ECR from the GMAT website, and then reviewed it properly. Like we say that we do a lot of analytics, but during these exams we are not doing the real analytics. So I realized it that there were a section, even though I was feeling that in sentence correction I am a boss, but during the exam I was just like, nothing out of 13 I have only 5 corrects, sentence correction questions. So what I did is I spent more time on sentence correction, and then I adopted a strategy. Rather than reading about the basics or things, I need to attune my mind to the GMAT exam. So what I did is I took a 15 mocks of something like Express Global, just in $50, and I attempted every 4th day. I attempted a test. I did not prepare. Other than that, I didn't did anything else. I just gave those tests, then reviewed those tests, like 4 hours of test and 4 hours of review. And then after 4 days, another test. Then after 4 days, within, I believe, 20-25 days on that platform, my score improved from 700 to 740. And I know that they have elevated or escalated beyond scores. So I was sure that I can get 710, 720, and that I got in the real exam. Okay. So for me, practice works. Practice. I did not read on websites. I just practiced a proper environment. Like, it is very important. What we are doing is, in a 4 hours exam, you need to have your brain tuned to a way that you can sit and you can solve the questions for 4 hours. But what we do is we attempt math, then take a break of half an hour when we are at home. Then we attempt English, take a break of half an hour. So your brain don't get accustomed to the real GMAT environment. So what I did is I just accustomed my brain to the real GMAT environment. I just give 5 tests and then went for the real exam for improvement, and it really helps me.
Okay. To just like, again, I'll just put it in is like what I can draw parallels is like learning while working in our office is what I can see is like you kind of gave tests and test again and again, and it kind of helped you to train your brain and clock it accordingly. So that's how you went about your GMAT preparation, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah, and the last part is that what I understand is that while you're applying for these US universities, you also need to prove your English skill sets. Few exams like IELTS and TOEFLs or something that's recommended. So how do you went about it, or is there any other thing that you did?
On that was not applicable for me. I actually have a master's in supply chain from Clemson University. So my undergrad and my master's both are from an English speaking university. So I had a certificate, and TOEFL and IELTS was not applicable for me. So all of the universities has waived that requirement for me.
Okay, and how did you got into Clemson? Like, what was the process for it?
Yeah, Clemson was sponsored by my current employer. I'm currently, just a brief about me. I'm a supply chain professional working at Floor Corporation. Currently I'm helping our clients in Europe, Africa, Middle East region, EMEA region, to draft supply chain strategies for their capital projects. And so I am a leadership development prodigy at my current organization, and they offered me full scholarship to pursue masters in supply chain from Clemson University. It was under leadership development program at my current company, and I have dreams. That's why I want to do an MBA. Even though I stay here for long, I know that I will be doing reasonably good, but still I know that if I will be on campus for 2 years, the peer-to-peer learning that I will get through those 2 years will be immense, and it's going to help me navigate what I actually eventually want to do in my life.
Got it. So you are basically a supply chain consultant, and Ankit, that's something that's coming out, and that has kind of relating. I can now actually relate of why you got into this university is kind of right. So
So in the beginning, as Anurag, I've shared with you that first people say that you do GMAT and then start looking at the colleges. But my story was a bit different, and I know that I'm a good strong supply chain background. So I know that Michigan State, Penn State, and Arizona State will be definitely looking at me, because what happens is everybody need to understand that every college hire a student whom they see that he can be employable on campus, right? So if your campus is famous for supply chain and a person is coming from a strong supply chain background, they know that you can be easily placed, and that's how their ranking is defined. So their ranking is 15% what actually is their employment report. So that's why they generally look for people. Like, I will give you an example. If you will go to UC Berkeley or UCLA or University of California. So those three colleges are very good for what computer science, like product management type of jobs, because they are in Bay Area, right? And in Midwest, Penn State and Michigan State is there. Tepper is there. There are a lot of people hire supply chain people, because in Midwest, a lot of manufacturing is there. A lot of supply chain is there, right? So if you will go to Rice, there you will see the oil and gas. Like Houston is like the world capital for oil and gas. So Rice has like 60% jobs in oil and gas sector. I'm not saying that every college is fixed on one part. They will give you everything, but they are famous for something, right? Every college is famous for something. If you will go to New York, Stern, they are famous for finance, right? They're just close to Wall Street. If you will go to Georgia Tech, they are famous for technology. So that's way, based on your background and based on your career goals, you need to identify where you want to go in life. If you are, let's suppose, want to transition from X to Y, so you shall see in their employment report where those Y are getting placed. So you will have more probability of getting placed in Y.
Got it.
That will be my
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. So Ankit, just a follow-up question to it. Like you stated, like having a correlation between what you have worked and how the institutes are kind of known for will help you actually get into these universities. So like you stated, you have admits from Notre Dame, Rice, and St. Louis. Any other admits if I missed out on other than the three supply chain B schools?
No, the main supply chain is Penn State, Michigan State, and other three, like Rice has hired me because I have worked with ExxonMobil, Chevron, so it was oil and gas. And Olin has hired me because they have a supply chain center of excellence in Olin. And this Notre Dame hired me because what I feel is like Chicago is famous for CPG industry. CPG has a lot of supply chain involved. So my employability at Notre Dame will be high. That's the reason they have hired. Yeah.
Okay. So these are the okay. Do you have so those are the reasons broadly? I think why those college actually chose you is what I understand. And so I kind of cannot connect to your story. Is that being from the supply chain background, you are kind of able to connect to those B schools, and you went about networking with the folks out there. And then you kind of realize is that if you can up your GMAT by a couple, maybe 20 odd points, that kind of pushes your case, and that's how you aced your journey, is what I see the overall
Yep.
journey of yours to be. So yeah,
Yep.
so that's all I had for you, Ankit. I hope, folks, this actually helped you all, and all the best to you, Ankit. Hopefully, you get into you actually make it to B school this time around. Seeing the pandemic situation, I really don't know, but I hope you do make it too. And it was
Yeah.
great connecting with you, Ankit. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Nurag. Best of luck to you as well. Bye bye.
Bye, bye, Ankit. Bye.